Hey everybody, welcome or welcome back. Today we're talking about sick pay because whether we are consultants or carpenters or cooks, unfortunately we all do risk getting sick one day. So we need to know what it is that we're entitled to and how to go about claiming it. And before we get into that, if you haven't been here before, my name is Lisa. I trained and worked in French accountancy before I realized that I could provide much more value to my clients as an independent consultant, which is what I do now. And obviously, if you would like to get in touch, my contacts are in the description. So our sick pay is paid by our cotisation. When we pay our social charges to URSSAF or MSA, then part of those social charges go towards sick pay. But how much of them will we actually be entitled to? Now that's going to depend on the kind of statut that you have. What do I mean by statut? Are you an assimilé salarié or are you a TNS? Okay, the assimilé salarié, who is that? That's going to be the president of an SAS or a SASU, or it's going to be the gérant minoritaire of an SARL. On the other hand, the TNS, that's everybody else. So it's all of the entrepreneurs individuels, whether you're a micro or full-sized entreprise individuelle. It's going to be the EURLs or EARLs, if you prefer to call it that. And it's also going to be the gérant majoritaire of the SARLs. So all of you guys, you are TNSs. And what's the difference? Well, you both contribute to two different regimes of social security. So the président de SASU, over there, and the gérant minoritaire de SARL, you are effectively employees. So you contribute to the régime général of social security, and so you get, we tend to often say, the same advantages as any other employee, but it's not quite the case, as we're going to see. The TNSs, everybody else, the entreprise individuelle, the EARLs, and the gérant majoritaire of the SARLs, you contribute to the SSI, the Sécurité Sociale des Indépendants, which used to be the RSI, now it's the SSI, and we have to wonder if these two regimes are not one day just going to fuse and become the same thing. May happen. Now, when you get sick, there are certain things that you need to do before you can start claiming any sick pay. So the first thing you need to do is you need to get your arrêt maladie, your sick note, from your doctor. So your doctor needs to sign you off sick, and then you need to, within 48 hours, send that off to your caisse primaire maladie. Or maybe your doctor will be able to send it electronically to the caisse primaire, in which case they will have it automatically. But that needs to happen within 48 hours. You also need to stop all kind of professional activity, because if you don't stop working, then you're not entitled to sick pay, you're not off sick. So stopping working is easier for some people than it is for others. If I'm at home in bed bashing away on my computer, it's very different to somebody who needs to go out and climb on a roof. But you do need to stop all professional activity. And the third thing is you need to respect the hours that you are allowed to be outside. So normally if you're off sick, you are allowed to leave the house, but you have to be home between 9 and 11 in the morning and 2 and 6 in the afternoon. So now, how much are you going to be entitled to? Well, as I said, that depends on which regime you're contributing to, SSI or Régime Général. If you're contributing to the Régime Général, your eligibility for sick pay depends on this. It depends on how much you have been paying yourself for the previous 6 months. And over the previous 6 months, you need to have paid yourself a minimum of 1,015 times the hourly rate of the SMIC. So what that means is that for each month, you need to have paid yourself a minimum of just under 2,000 euros. And that's what's going to be your open sesame to sick pay eligibility. If you have not paid yourself at least that minimum, then this is how much you will be entitled to. A big fat nothing. If you're a TNS, then it's slightly different. And your eligibility for sick pay depends on you having been contributing into the regime for the previous 12 months. So you can see that the two are really very different. Now, how much will you get? Let's say that you are an assimilé salarié and you have been paying yourself that minimum requirement of just under 2,000 euros per month for the last 6 months. Well, you will be entitled to 50% of your daily salary. So whatever you've been paying yourself, they're going to divide it up over the month. So that's your daily rate, and you will be entitled to 50% of that, up to a maximum of, in 2024, 52 euros and 28 cents per day. You may be entitled to an extra indemnity, and that depends on how long you have been working in this particular position. So how long have you had your company? How long have you been in this role? And I'm going to show you this table. And what this table shows you is that the longer you've been working there, the more you are entitled to, but still you're never going to get 100% of what you were earning. It's always going to be less than that. Now, if you are a TNS, it's very different. So let's imagine that you have been affiliated to the SSI for the last 12 months. Then what you are entitled to is 1/730th of your annual salary. And actually, if you think about it, those two different calculations for working out what you're entitled to are not very far apart, right? Either 50% of your daily salary or 1/730th of your annual salary works out not too far apart. But this is how it's worked out for the TNSs. So what they do is they take the average of your annual salary over the previous 3 years, assuming that you have 3 years of activity. If you don't, then it's going to be over a smaller period than that, right? But you take your average salary annually over the last 3 years and they say, okay, fine, I'm going to give you 1/730th of that, up to a maximum of 46,368 euros per year. So if you've always earned more than that, well, you're not going to get any more than that. They're going to take that as a maximum and they're going to work out 1/730th of that, and that's going to be your daily sick pay rate. So what you will have understood by now is that whichever regime you contribute into and whatever your statute is, nobody's ever going to pay you a fortune in sick pay. As a self-employed person, we need to think about this ourselves. And what are we going to do? As far as I can see, we've got two choices. Either we can put the money aside ourselves. So every month, put aside a certain amount of money, build up an emergency fund, and then should emergency strike, and let's hope that it doesn't, covered, and it's at least one problem that you won't have. The second thing you can do is take out a prévoyance, which is an extra insurance contract that's going to cover your sick pay should you ever need it. If you're fairly young and fairly healthy, then it won't cost you a fortune, and it will also be tax deductible. There are tons of them available, but if you want to check one out and just see how they work and how much they will cost, I'm going to leave you a link down in the description. So if this has been helpful, I would really love it if you subscribed, and I'll see you again soon.